You're listening to the Surgeons of Horror podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Surgeons of Horror podcast. Its purpose is to dissect and discuss horror films, both old and new. As the title suggests, we're going to be looking at the Friday the 13th franchise, and believe it or not, we're closing out. We've been doing these for a while now, pretty much since the birth of Surgeons of Horror, way back a couple of years ago now. Our first official podcast release that we pushed out there was the original Friday the 13th. And slowly but surely, we've been kind of churning through these ones. And we're finally at the final one that's so far, the final one that's been released. And it was the remake, Friday the 13th, which came out in 2009. So kind of looking forward to kind of dissecting this one and getting down into the blood and guts of it and making out what we think of, the surgeons team think of this particular film. Before we get to that, should introduce myself. I'm the host for the series. My name is Saul Muerte, and joining me, as always, with the Friday the 13th discussions is the delectable Miles Davies. Welcome aboard, Miles.
Hello, delectable indeed.
Delectable, yeah. I don't know why that word just popped in my head, I'm giving it to you, man. You own it.
Cannibalistic.
Yeah. Welcome back, buddy. Yeah, so hard to believe. Yeah, so we've I should have probably written this down, but there's been like something like 10, 11, 12 instances of Jason films. Yeah. Obviously, we've neglected one of them, which is the Freddy versus Jason film. And that's because, as listeners out there might know, we've been slowly ticking away with the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. And when we do get to the point where Freddy and Jason meet on screen, we will come back and look at that particular movie and dissect that one as well. And I'll be inviting Miles, who's joined us on that franchise journey of Friday the 13th, to accompany myself with Oscar, who's also on the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise discussions with us. And the three of us will somehow delve into that one and see where the two worlds collided.
Like a horror Royal Rumble.
Yeah, exactly. Until then. Sorry.
Thunderdome.
I always think, I don't know why, but I always think of Tina Turner with Mad Max. It's a horrifying image, but I'm there already. And I apologize for inflicting that on the listeners out there too. But before we get to that, obviously, we are going to be looking at the one that came after that film. So obviously, Freddy vs. Jason came out in 2003. This film came out about 6 years afterwards, 2009. It's been 10 years. Can you believe 10 years since we've seen Jason on screen, officially on screen? And obviously, we all know that that's because of this ongoing legal battle that has been going on between the writer Victor Miller and who, owns the right because he came up with the characters. And that kind of little grey area that kind of defines who actually owns the property has been going on. And we are yet to see whether that will ever happen, and we will see Jason down the track. What's your hunch on that? Do you think we will we see a Jason again?
Oh, look, they're going to get desperate enough for ideas at some stage or another that somebody's going to go, okay, look, well, how about we do it? I mean, look at Halloween. It took ages. It disappeared off the radar. Then Rob Zombie brought back his shit versions. And
yeah.
And then, it took a fan. It took a fan to remake it. So,
yeah,
two fans.
That's the key thing there too, because like Jason Blum, obviously behind Blumhouse Productions, is the guy that kind of ignited that Halloween kind of remake. And he was in town in Sydney when the Halloween screening occurred, and he actually said that his favourite film franchise is Friday the 13th. And if he could pick any movie to make, it would be this one. So, who knows? If he keeps producing and creating these hits that seem to be working, and I know that we're yet to see the next two installments of Halloween at the time of this record. The evidence seems to suggest that we may well see it happen. I mean, they're already, you can tell that they're re-looking at the back canon because, and I think at the time of this record, I think when this goes out, which we're planning on doing on Friday the 13th in December, so we're obviously recording this a little ahead of time, but by the time this hits podcast release, that's when we're releasing this. That is actually when we get the cinematic release of the remake of Black Christmas. So they're obviously going into this area and kind of regenerating the old classics for a new generation.
Yeah.
So who's to say that isn't going to happen down the track? We don't know yet, but we'll see.
Well, hopefully they do. I mean, I would be more inclined for them not to remake it, more or less to do what they did with Halloween series and basically continue it on, because we don't need. It's like what they did with Spider-Man. They just kept showing the origin of Spider-Man over and over again until they realized that with the latest ones, the successful ones, they didn't need to show the origin because people were over it, and it just wanted them to get on with it. The story. So, they sort of briefly mentioned it in a half a sentence, and that was it. They moved on. Yeah. So hopefully they do the same thing with Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that they tried to do that with this current one that we're going to discuss, though, because they did try and do it as like picking it up from the back of the original Friday the 13th. But in doing so, they're still creating the origin of who Jason is. And I think in part that's their undoing. Like, I think you didn't need to do that. We could have just picked up. We know Jason's a badass fucking killer. And we know what to expect from him. You just kind of inject him into a modern setting, and
we don't want to see him go, "Oh my God, there's a hockey mask. I think I'll put it on." We want to see him with a hockey mask straight away, and just with a big ass machete and a hockey mask. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's and we may skirt around that, but we or come back to that, I should say, but. That one scene, I don't know what version you saw, but the one I watched just recently, they had to reshoot that particular scene because he actually chops the guy's head off. The guy, the dude that's in that kind of, I don't know, shack or wherever it is. And then he's stumbling around and he sees the mask and puts it on. Whereas I think in the version that we see, you just see him pick it up and put it on. So it seems to lose all meaning to the point where you go, well, what was the point of that? So it just seemed a bit lost. Whatever they were trying to do, I don't think they executed it. Anyway, but that was my opinion on that. So all right. So look, we do get this kind of, as I said, an origin story. We do get, and actually I should have probably looked up what else he's done, but the director that kind of is behind this is a guy called Marcus Nispel, who they kind of bring in to kind of oversee this. And his filmography before that was so he was behind the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Jessica Biel version of the remake. So that kind of, I guess that makes sense why they thought he
wasn't terrible.
No, he wasn't terrible. And actually, this is the thing. I do look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake, and I actually liked that movie. I mean, I might be kind of being a bit going against the grain of the original. I love the original too. To me, the original was one of the best horror films that I've ever seen. I just love the grittiness of it. And I felt like the new version actually kind of put that modern spin on it that was enough to make it its own right. I liked it, but it's weird because it doesn't happen in this one. So so you start going, well, what was it? What made that not work?
He's a music video director as well, so he's
a big music video director. That's right, a lot of music stuff. But so interesting because it makes me wonder. I don't know. I don't know whether I have an answer to that. And maybe we will while we check through our discussions of the movie itself. But so we get 2009, as I said, and we get this guy coming board. It was dubbed as a reboot, and as I said, it would be the 12th installment of the series. What do we say about it? We had I guess the only kind of face that looked familiar within the cast for me as I was rewatching it was two. One of them was what's his name? Oh God, my mind's just gone blank now. One of them was Jared Padalecki. And I didn't know quite. It was one of those people I just went, I so know your face. How do I know your face? And of course, he the dude from Supernatural.
Yeah.
Playing Sam Winchester. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, okay, so he's definitely, and you feel that when he makes his presence on the screen, you go, right, I get, and he does have that hero presence about him.
Yeah.
So I was kind of already buying that. I thought, yeah, he's got the looks, he's got the gravitas to pull off the role of the brooding brother in search of the kidnapped sister. So, or the sister that's gone missing, and we don't know she's kidnapped at that point. And I dug his vibe. I thought he was good. And then the only other familiar face for me was obviously Danielle Panabaker, who's from me, he's Dr. Caitlin Snow from the Flash series. I mean, she's been in a billion other things, but that's who I connect her with. And I really liked her performance as well, actually, in this.
Yeah, she was good.
I preferred her to the who would be the female lead, but there you go. That's just my own choice. So we'll come to the other cast members when we get to it. But for me, just those two were the ones that visually, I recognise their faces. And maybe that's since this movie has come out. Okay, so now before we dissect and discuss the plot of this movie, I'm going to throw it out to you. Do you remember when you first watched it, or when was the last time you watched it ahead of this?
I have no recollection of when I watched it the first time.
Yeah.
And I think we were discussing it before we started recording. It was like, I'm sure I've seen it, but it was so forgettable that I've completely forgotten that I've actually watched it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. Like we said this offline, but I did exactly the same thing. I was just like, I was watching it going, I feel like I have seen this, but I have no memory of it. How have I blocked this out? And I was like, was it just because it's just a forgettable film? It's like there's nothing
happened.
No. Which I mean, obviously we're putting it out there already, our feelings of the movie, and we don't often do that. We usually reserve that until the end. But I feel like we kind of really got to, it's the elephant in the room. We can't ignore it. It just is. It's so underwhelming. And like they talk about how they wanted to make Jason a leaner Jason, so he moves quicker. Yeah, sure, he moves quicker, but is that it? Is that your,
Did he move quicker though?
He did in bits.
I don't recall him actually moving like at high speed. He was kind of just still lumbering around, just chopping people.
He was, but there were bits where he was pursuing people through the wood, and he was running. So and I don't think we ever saw that before. So I guess to that respect, yes, he suddenly becomes like some kind of guerrilla, kind of off the grid, kind of Rambo-esque kind of character, where he's able to use a bow and arrow, and it must have been some pretty good camp that he went to remember those kind of skills, survival skills. To me,
quite a memorable Camp Crystal Lake.
I wonder if that's part of the problem though, because to me that loses the killer kind of instinct in him. He's there to just kill. He's actually being calculating. That they were kind of going, we wanted to make him more intelligent and more calculating in the way he went about killing people. And I go, sure, you're doing that to kind of add a different spin on it. But what makes him so malicious to me is the fact that he there is no forethought. He just kills, right?
Yeah,
he doesn't have to
kills
plan
until somebody stops him. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's it. Like it's like Jaws. It's the whole Jaws.
He's like a walking shark. He just walks around just killing people.
And I think we said that, was it Steve Miner way back from part 2 or 3 kind of said, he looked at Jaws as inspiration. Jason is essentially Jaws on land. He's a killing machine. He will go out and kill people and he won't stop. And I think they kind of forgot or lost that element with this, but yeah.
And they've given him motive, which you just cannot give this character motive. He has his entire motive is because he wants to kill. And that's pretty much it. There's no revenge thing. There's no sort of, he's got mummy issues, seriously.
Yeah, he's got serious mummy issues. Yeah.
But then so did the original Jason as well.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that. It was something at the back of his mind, way down in the back of his mind.
That's right.
He's just having a great time, just killing shit, basically.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so they do have this thing. We should probably mention it. They do choose to do a flashback at the beginning of the film, right? I question why, especially why using new actors. Why not use the original actors in that scene? That you could easily.
They're clearly doing it for the fans. So
yeah.
But it just pisses off the fans. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I kind of went, well, you could have easily, like, sure, if you want to have it so that the Jason as a kid sees his mum being beheaded and, you know, and he identifies the whole sexual act of the kid beforehand and whatever. Bullshit. But to me, I just think, well, you can still do that. You could have still done that with having a kid Jason watching mummy get beheaded, but using the old footage. Why, you know, like I didn't see the point of reshooting that, because even at the beginning I'm just like, well, what are they doing here anyway? So I was already put on the back burner of that kind of. I was getting a bit irate, and like I've grown to love Jason, I think, during the course of these franchise discussions. As you know, I was always a bit more in the Michael Myers camp and over the Jason stuff, but I've started to really warm to a lot of the Jason films, and there's some of them they're just fun. I think that's the thing. That's the difference between Jason and Michael, is that the Jason films tend to have a bit of fun to them, whereas
there's a rawness.
The Michael ones are very Yeah.
Whereas Michael is kind of clearly a mentally deranged person who's got some kind of issues that I don't think have been ever explored.
Yes.
But you know that they're there.
Yeah.
And even because he had the sister issue and stuff like that. But whereas Jason is just, he's, as you said, he's Jaws on land.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no ifs or buts about him. He just is a killer.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, all right. So let's take a look at this narrative then. Like, so we've already kind of mentioned the beginning bit where there's this flashback sequence. We then pick up with let's see, it's 5 of them, isn't it? Who are going on a trek. It's revealed that 2 of them are doing it because they are aware of some kind of marijuana, essentially, that's kind of growing somewhere, like a big farm that's growing it, and so they want to get some cut of it or something, and sell them in off the back of it, basically steal this stuff. But the others are just presuming that they're on some kind of camping trip, and so we kind of meet them. So we get I'm trying to remember which one's which now. So we've got Wade, and then we get Richie, played by Ben Feldman, who I love this guy. I always think of Mad Men, but like I think
Ginsberg.
Yeah,
he was one of my favorite characters in Mad Men.
Yeah, same.
Crazy ending. Like I still cannot. I cannot look at him without seeing that one of the final scenes in Mad Men where he's just getting wheeled out. Just
yeah. That's right.
He cuts off one of his nipples. Yes, in Mad Men, it sends it to Peggy, and it's like I know how to stop them. I know how to stop them, and it's just like, what the fuck?
Completely
crazy.
Yeah. That's right. Oh, too funny. I can't remember who the Brad guy is now. I'm trying to remember if he's the other dude that's the stoner dude, or if he's the boyfriend of the lead,
like the nerdy guy, or
I'm not sure which one he is now. I'll probably know as we start talking it through. But then we get Mike as well. So he's Mike is also apparently he was in Halloween as well. but I'm not sure which one he was in that.
He was in one of the Rob Zombie.
Ah, okay.
That's why
Yeah, that's
like,
why. That was forgettable too, huh? Cool.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere near those.
You don't have to. We've done, Ben and I did that for everyone, right? Just, that's gone. We've done it. Moved on. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So, and then the rounding them out is obviously Whitney, who is our lead heroine, and she's actually played by, I'm going to try and pronounce the name, Amanda Rigetti. And I'm mentioning her because she's cropped up in the OC as well, so in her credits. So people may recognise her face from that. And also we get Amanda, who's, she's the token kind of
fake boobs,
sexy chick, yeah, with the fake boobs, who is played by America Olivio.
America.
And she's also cropped up in Maniac, the remake of Maniac with Elijah Wood.
Okay.
In her credits too. So they're the five of them. They arrive. The stoner dude he realizes that they're not far from wherever this kind of marijuana kind of plant is, and they decide to camp where they are. It just happens to be right near where the old Crystal Lake camp is. We have Whitney and her boyfriend go off for a little chat, leaving the other three behind. Stoner dude feels like a third wheel because the other two are clearly wanting to get it on. So he goes off to try and find the weed. He does so, but in doing so, stumbles across Jason. And we get to see Jason here with the old sandbag head Jason.
Yeah.
And I actually quite like the look of this. If I did kind of want to defend this movie a little bit, is that I kind of dug the makeup and well, it's bandages essentially, but I dug that better than sandbag head that we got from part 2.
Yeah.
It just felt like a bit more real. So in meeting him, Stoner dude gets killed, and then we have the scene where where good old Ben Feldman is getting on with Amanda in the tent, and we just know these guys are going to get done. The dude Richie goes out to obviously investigate. He thinks it's his stoner mate. He goes to investigate, and then we get the scene where Jason turns up and pokes his head into the tent, and he grabs the girl. We think she's dead, don't we, at this point? But then there's a point where then Richie discovers the dead body of the stoner dude, comes running back, gets his foot caught in a bear trap. Goes down, and he sees the girlfriend hanging upside down from inside the sleeping bag over a fire. Completely gets burnt to a crisp. And I kind of like it. I guess it was a bit original, and a bit of a take on where we have seen Jason completely twat people inside their sleeping bags, but this time he's designed to burn them. And so he does that, and then, but then he goes off. Does he leave? He must leave the dude there, doesn't he? Because then we get the scene inside the house, where he's been shacked up, and we get the Whitney and her boyfriend going in to investigate it, and then Jason basically starts attacking them from underneath the house.
Yeah,
which again, slightly original and slightly reminded me of Jaws again, with a machete coming through the floorboard. But there you go. And yeah, basically the dude gets kind of he basically gets pulled underneath the floorboards to his death, telling the other girl to run. She tries to make a run for it. She gets back to the camp only to see a burning her friend who's burnt to a crisp. She sees the other dude on the floor in the bear trap, goes over to help, and then that's when Jason comes up and he plants the machete right between Richie's head. Good kill.
Which was pretty cool.
Yeah. I like that. That was a good kill. Gotta like that bit. And then we see him kind of go to attack her, and then it cuts, and then we are introduced to whole new people. 6 weeks later, apparently, and we get to meet Trent, who is played by Travis Van Winkle. And has he been in anything that I should shout out about? I'm just having a quick look at these credentials.
I don't know. His name keeps popping up in stuff that are...
Yeah.
And then I can never remember that he's in stuff.
Yeah.
But his name just keeps popping up. Was he in The Predator?
No, but he was in Transformers, the first one.
Oh, was he?
Apparently. I'm just looking at this thing here. Nothing else, not any film cycle.
I haven't.
Yeah, I don't know where I know him from, but there you go. Oh, maybe The Last Ship. He was in the last ship. I wondered if I saw him in that. But that was equally another forgettable series. Yeah. So anyway, so we get to meet him, and he's just a douche, like rich ass kind of douche, complete wanker, and you hate him, and you just want him to die, but he's there to aggravate us for quite a while before he does die. We also meet his friends, Chelsea, who also is of the fake boob variety. I think that's her anyway. And then we also get Bree, and we meet Chewie, the token Asian dude, and another kind of white dude called Nolan.
Dick Casablancas.
Yes.
You ever watch Veronica Mars?
Veronica Mars, yes. I was just about to say yes.
Yeah.
Although his part's minimal in this, really. He doesn't really do...
Yeah, no.
Very
quick. He must have been doing this at the same time as Veronica Mars, or when Veronica Mars finished or something. So he would have been a draw card for people, but, you know, at the end of the day, he's just Dick. I mean, Veronica Mars.
Yeah. That's right.
So
absolutely.
He made it into the new one. I don't know if you're a fan of Veronica Mars, but the new series is amazing. So.
Yeah, I do like Veronica Mars. I do like it. Yeah, it's good fun. I like, what's her name? Oh, my mind's just come back.
Kristen Bell.
Thank you. Yeah, I really like her. She's cool. Then we get Lawrence, token African American dude. Yeah, so he was actually in Final Destination 5. And he was probably known semi-recently for playing Bobby Brown in the film Whitney.
Right.
So he's done a couple of things. But yeah, so he's in there. Oh, sorry, and he's played by Arlen Arlen Escopeta. I want to say that name. So they kind of round out the guys. They're basically all hanging out at the rich dude's house, essentially. And we also get I completely missed the fact that his girlfriend Jenna, played by Danielle Panabaker, is there too. We get Whitney's brother, who's called Clay, turn up. That's the guy played by Jared Padalecki. He arrives at the lake. Basically, he's come to kind of look for his sister, essentially, and he's just greeted with not a very warm, friendly response from Trent, who just takes an instant disliking to him. But Clay goes on his search regardless, and he ends up at Trent's cabin at one point, and at this point Jenna agrees to go and help him. So we get the impression that Jenna's actually quite a nice girl. And with
a shithouse boyfriend.
Yes, with a shithouse boyfriend. And you kind of go, why
the guy? Because she goes off with this strange dude that she's just met at the shop.
Yeah.
And then the boyfriend's quite happy with her going off. And,
yes.
And then later on, he has sex with one of her friends.
I know.
So it's kind of a weird relationship.
It really is, isn't it? And it got me to the point.
He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. There was one point where I was like, are they actually together, or is it just...
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, this is just the weirdest relationship. Maybe they're just a couple of swingers. I don't know.
Yeah. That's right. Anyway, so she goes off with Clay to investigate and help him track down his sister. And the rest of them are staying back in the house. As they go in search for them, this is where Jason then turns up and he kills our friend from Veronica Mars with a bow and arrow in the head while he's riding his motorboat.
He killed Dick.
He kills Dick, and then he also pursues Chelsea, who was originally water skiing on the back, and she's stuck in the lake, and she tries to evade him by hiding under a wooden wharf.
Oh yeah.
And then Jason just shoves his machete through the floorboards and then into her skull, killing her in probably one of the most comical ways ever. Her cross-eyed look. Yeah, and she, of course, she's nudie as well. So you just kind of go, yeah, really weird, that bit. And then what happens there? We then cut to Clay and Jenna turning up the old Crystal Lake campgrounds, and this is where they're hiding, and they see him hauling the body. So we get this whole kind of, and that's the body of the chick, essentially, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
And then that's when, so they're hiding, and they kind of realize that there's some weird shit going down, and they don't at this point discover that his sister's alive yet, do they? But we do as the audience.
Yeah.
And this, to me, all right, this is the thing, right? To me, I'm hoping you agree here, Miles, and I don't want to put you in a corner, but I just went, when she was alive and kidnapped, I just went, what the fuck? That wouldn't happen. Jason wouldn't just kidnap someone.
No.
Why are you doing the whole Beauty and the Beast thing?
Well, you know what? Because they find the locket, and they say, "Oh, you look like his mum," and he gives her the locket, and then for some reason it's like it's fucking lame.
It really is. It really is lame.
It's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Do that thing. Because I think they've done it before in one of the other Friday the 13th. Remember, there was like they found the ritual, like the like the mum's head or something.
That's right. They did. Yeah, they did. That was in the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the girl was like, "I'm your mother, Michael." Not Michael.
Jason. Yeah.
How dare you? Da da da. So they've already played this fucking card already. So.
Yeah. And I guess that comes back to what we were saying about there's no originality. Like, yes, you want to see. This is where Halloween, the new Halloween, got it right. And I said this to Ben in our record. Like, it played a really fine line, but it did it well of paying homage to the original, but serving the new audience with some fresh stuff as well. And I thought, and I really enjoyed it. And that's what Friday the 13th should have been. And it just spent so long just trying to serve the old that it just, to me, it failed to do either. So yeah, it's really weird. And I just was like, to me, this is where if I wasn't clocked out already, this is where I completely clocked out. Because I just didn't buy it. I didn't buy Jason would do that.
They created a weakness for him, and there is no weakness. The thing just it is a thing.
Yeah.
Jason is a thing, and the thing just needs to be stopped. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing that you can do except drop, 7 tons of concrete on his head. Basically.
Yeah, that's right.
And even then, you may not kill him. So, it's to try and create this extra sort of plot device to go to get your way out of, what it is lazy script writing.
It is
setting yourself up to how you're going to kill Jason, basically, without actually thinking of it another way.
Yeah.
Make one of the characters look like the mum.
Yes, that's right. And I'm gonna end up bagging out the screenwriters, I think, because they're Damien Shannon and Mark Swift, and apparently I think they actually. Hold on, let me just check this a second. I'm just noticing there that it looks like they were behind Freddy versus Jason as well, which surprises me Yes, they were. They wrote Freddy versus Jason. So
they also wrote Baywatch, though, dude.
Yeah. Okay, and this is the thing. So I am casting my opinion. This is a sweeping comment on how I felt they came across in the DVD extras, but they just, to me, looked like they were just goofing around too much.
Yeah.
And in that, and I just went, maybe you are taking it seriously. Maybe it's just that you've got that nervous energy on because you're being filmed. But it just came across as that they weren't professional.
Well, I hope they're good because they're writing the next Sam Raimi film, and
seriously?
Yeah, and they're doing the remake of Starship Troopers as well.
Oh wow! Okay.
I just hope they're not just a couple of hacks. They're just going, well,
yes,
let's just bring a whole bunch of franchises.
that'd be really crap if that is the case.
Yeah,
that's really shitty. I really hope that isn't the case.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize they were behind the new Sam Raimi one as well.
Yeah,
right. Okay. All right. So anyway, and I apologize if you're really nice people. I hate that when you bag out people and they're probably really nice people. But
yeah.
Anyway, just didn't dig your jam. That's all. So we basically then get the climax of the movie now. The next section. So this is where Jenna and Clay kind of make a run for it after Jason kind of discovers that they're on the property, and in doing so, they come back to Trent's place. Trent, who's in the middle of shagging that chick. Chewie, the Chewie guy, goes out. The Asian dude goes out to fix something, and in doing so, seems to smash the living shit out of. It's the most clumsiest dude ever. Before he then confronts Jason confronts him. And basically,
Have we met the stoner guy in the middle of nowhere yet?
Yeah, I missed that. So I don't know when that happens.
I can't remember, but I think he had one of the coolest lines. I remember. I've just found it actually. He goes, when Clay sees him, he says, "You're fucking lucky there, Stretch. Came that close to hitting the start button on the whoop-ass machine, boy."
Yes.
Which is the absolute best line of the whole film. So.
Yeah, that's right. So he's that random dude in the middle of nowhere, which we meet a few scenes prior when what's his name? I forgot the dude's name now.
Clay,
yeah. Thank you. When he's going off looking for
his sister, yeah,
for his sister.
But I mean, I would have much preferred to see a movie based around him. He was outstanding. That guy just was gold. And he was so wasted in this film. I'm like,
yeah, he felt like it too. And actually, like he was, you kind of. There was one very quick kind of piece of camera that he did in the Blu-ray that I've got, and he seemed like he was a bit of a fun guy, and he was just really stoked to be playing a part in a Friday the 13th film. But it would have been interesting just having this one token dude in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. But, you know what he is? He's the crazy guy that you get in all of the Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Early Friday the 13th. He's like the crazy guy.
Crazy Ralph. Crazy Ralph.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah. So there's a woman actually, isn't there? That was one bit that was interesting when Clay's going around. The older woman who kind of says he just wants to be left alone. And I kind of liked that. I kind of liked the idea of like the locals know who he is and they steer clear of him, and just let it be. Like it's like you don't go into the woods and go poking bears or crocodiles. You leave them be, in their natural habitat. I kind of dug that. I thought that was kind of a good take, and maybe that would have been interesting to play with that as an idea. But they went a different route. So you're right. That whole change was good, and also because that's where we said it wasn't a very good scene, but that's where Jason puts on the hockey mask in that bit where he kills the dude. Okay, so then to cut back, so we come to the bit where Jason then goes on a bit of a rampage at Trent's house. Lawrence decides to go and investigate, find out where Chewie is. He comes across Jason. He gives himself, and this, I don't know if this is a nod to the dude from Jason Takes Manhattan, but like he gives off a good few punches before he manages to try and escape. And then Jason, again, using his killer survivor skills, throws a pickaxe straight into the back of the guy's back.
Yeah.
And that's when they play on the whole, he's trying to outsmart them kind of thing, because he's mained this character, Lawrence, outside to try and
he's trying to bait them out,
Yeah, that's right. I'm like...
Which is horseshit.
Yeah.
He would have just killed the guy and gone stomping in.
Yeah, that's right. Why wait? You just go in and do it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, like a military tactician. So it's like,
yeah. It's like, no, he's not. He's not some kind of guerrilla warfare doomsday prepper dude. Anyway, and relax. Okay, all right. So he kills Lawrence basically because they don't come out to play with him, and so he manages to sneak inside, and then this is where he ends up. They do the whole kind of, Bree searching with him. Like, she decides to go investigate upstairs. There's a window open, and then all of a sudden he's there, and he basically kills her. It's a bit of a nothing scene. Then, so basically, kind of leaves Trent, Clay, and Jenna alone, and Trent they decide to make a run for it, essentially, don't they? But Trent goes one way, and Jenna and Clay go the other.
Yeah.
Trent ends up in the main road, and then we see a car, like a ute, kind of. We call them a ute in Australia. It's like a pickup truck. Yeah. Pulls to a stop, and this hand kind of motions, and he stops for a moment because he's like, he's not sure who's inside the truck. And so that's when he hesitates, and in hesitating, that's when what's his name? Jason kind of comes up from behind, stabs him with a machete through him, and then throws him onto the back of the pickaxe. Pickaxe, what I'm talking about. Throws him onto the back of the pickup truck, and he's kind of pinned to the back of it as it drives off.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We get that.
It's like a tow truck. It looks like a tow truck because it's got the spikes and everything to pick up the cars. And
that's it. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm just pulled in for oh no, I don't want that one. I want the remake one. Hold on. I'm just gonna let's just put a pin in that for a second, because there's something I just remembered something, and I wanted to check if I was right or not. 3 cast, yeah. Where is he? I want to see if I was right. I'm probably not right, but I want to check it out regardless. Is that him? Oh, bear with me. Damn, I could have sworn that was him.
Who are you thinking it was?
Right, I thought the guy in the pickup truck was the dude that played Monty in the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the old Monty character. And I just suddenly as I was watching, I was like, how awesome would that be if that was actually the same character, who just happened to be kind of going through as, crossover universes and stuff. But it doesn't look like it was him, and I'm wrong.
No, it doesn't look like it.
All right. Okay, so we basically get rich ass dudes killed off, and we're left with Jenna and Clay as they go back to the house, and they're pursued by Jason. And this is where they go down into his lair, and they discover that, the sister's alive and she's underneath, and they try and free her and escape through this. Basically what they kind of came up with was that they wanted to have something else, not just this house, or this shack or the lakes, as it were, where the cabins were. But this just so happens to be an underground mine shaft there. as you do. Why would you build a camp on top of an old mine shaft? Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
It begs disbelief. It begs disbelief. Anyway, oh, God, I can't talk anymore. I'm losing the plot, much like this film does. So anyway, look, they're being pursued in this kind of mine shaft, essentially. We get to the point where they're trying to escape, and they find like they can maybe get their way out of this area under the mine shaft. And just as they're trying to pull through, Pamela's the last one. Jenna's the last one to come through, and then she gets killed from behind by Jason.
Which was a surprise. It was actually quite a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, that threw me, because I was kind of rooting for her of all of the characters. Yeah. I was like, oh, she's our heroine. And so I was surprised but a little bit disappointed, because I really hated the fact that this Whitney character was still around. Yeah. So it bugged me, because so part of me liked the twist element, but the other part of me went, what? So I have to support her? Okay, all right. So then we get basically the end scene where they kind of get out. They manage to get out, and they hide in some kind of, again, like this shack thing. And Jason finds them, and there's a big kind of fight sequence that happens. Clay looks like he's getting completely pummeled. And then they manage to somehow harness him to this chain, which is attached to this
mulcher type thing.
Yeah, and so he slowly is getting kind of wrenched backwards. He looks like he's going to get them, but he keeps getting kind of pulled backwards, essentially. Yeah. And then he kind of gets mashed up in this thing. And they believe that they have won, and then we get morning, and they just seem to be down by the lake with
putting him into the lake, which is like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. Why would you stick?
No,
there's so much of this movie that was just infuriating, and I just was like, why? You would just go, yeah? You wouldn't stick around.
Yeah. Why are you hanging around to chuck him in the lake?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't get it.
No, I didn't get it either.
It defies any kind of logic whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it didn't make sense to me either. But it happens, and so they push him in a lake, and they're kind of sitting around, and then he decides to jump back alive, bursting through the floorboards as that final jump scare to kill Whitney. And that's the end.
Which is obviously a throwback to the original.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I get it. Yeah.
But it just... So to throw all logic out the window just for a cheap gag is just dumb as fuck, basically.
Yeah, it was. Really, it wasn't.
That just really pissed me off one final time.
Yeah.
Like,
are you piss you off enough?
Me?
Yeah.
I literally looked at the TV and went, "Are you fucking kidding me?" That's not what you want to do to a movie. You want to finish with, "Oh fuck, that was cool." Not
yeah. I know. Look, it comes down to you already said it, but it comes down to that lazy writing, I think, in the end of the day. Didn't.
And they just threw a lot of just dodginess at it to try and appeal to.
Yeah.
Make it seem like it was a bit of a homage to the original, but it just didn't do it. It was they just took the easy options for shit. They just threw a bunch of references to the old movies in, and just threw out all the logic involved. So I don't know. I was deeply disappointed with this one. I could see why that studios have just gone, oh well, didn't work.
Yeah. but unfortunately, what we're left with though is this movie. It's the last time we've seen Jason on the screen, and it's because it was such an underwhelming experience. I'm kind of at a loss. Like I know there's loads and loads of Jason fans out there, and I know they're gunning to see him back on the screen again. And I still feel like I would sit amongst those people because he's such an iconic character, and I'd love to see him be treated properly. And given the just desserts that he he should have on the screen.
Yeah.
And not be treated as he's like, you have to be smart about the film. You know, you can't rely on what's been before and hope that gets you across the line, because it won't. You need to be like, audiences are smart people. They want to be entertained, but they want to, you got to give them there's no point changing the character. The character's not the problem, like you keep the character the same and you change the circumstances in which the character interacts with people,
Exactly.
So, anyway, I mean, like we're not being shy on our thoughts on this one.
It's quite an easy premise to get around. It's like it's the teddy bear's picnic. If you go out in the woods today, you're in for a big surprise.
Yes.
Going to the woods, you're going to get fucked up. He's part of nature, and he's that killing. He epitomizes nature's psychopathy, and the fact that it's a killing machine. Do not try and fight nature.
Yeah,
they did it in Picnic at Hanging Rock as well. It was like that sort of, you try and tame the wilderness, and the wilderness fights back.
Yeah,
and that's essentially what it is. I mean, that's maybe I should write a Friday the 13th. I'm a fan, so maybe I should just sit there and write a spec script, because I know what to do for it, and I just kind of just. It wouldn't be that hard to make something better than this shit.
Well, like, I haven't had the chance to see it yet, but there was a fan-made movie that just came out, which has got a lot of publicity around it, called Friday the 13th Vengeance. And I'm pretty sure if it's, I think they were trying to get it released. I thought they already had a screening of it, but it may have just been like an in the works kind of screening, and I could be wrong. But I think they were trying to maybe aim for this next, December 13 to try and release it again properly. But I'd be keen to kind of see that, because it looks really good, and it is picking up around that kind of time frame again. The original time frame of when we first watched it. So it'd be interesting to see that. I know it's a fan made film.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the reason why it's taken a while to get it on the screens, is because it's a Kickstarter campaign. But I think one of the reasons they're trying to get it on the screens is because they're taking a lot of time kind of in the editing suite to trying to really get it perfect, because they want to have it that old look and feel.
Yeah.
So I think they're obviously lovers of the craft in order to try and get it out there. So, and I haven't looked recently to see where they're up to with it, actually, because I was trying to actively follow them for a while. So interesting.
I'm looking up now. It looks like it's been made, and there's a bit of mixed reviews for it. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It would be interesting. I'd watch it anyway, even if it is fan made. Because it's just good to experience that kind of world a little bit. All right, so look, we've gone through that journey, and obviously we've, as I said at the premise, like we still did to have a look at Freddy versus Jason. So pushing that one aside, where would you place this latest one in the franchise? In ranking order, whereabouts would you?
Well, I've always neither of us liked. Was it the third one? Was that the one that were? Or was it the fourth one that was where he was in the children's home? That's
the fifth one. That's
the fifth one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the new beginning one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was always the shittest one for me.
Yeah, me too.
But this is actually, you know what? I don't know. It almost seems clever compared to this one.
Wow. Okay, that's saying something, mate.
I just was really disappointed with it, and I just thought they just did not. They just didn't take. They didn't bring anything new to the game. They just they almost phoned it in a way.
Yeah, I do agree.
Really lazy with it. They just grabbed a few TV stars, young up and coming TV blokes, and thought they could make a teen horror film catching in on, the hot teen horror genre. And I just think they failed really, really badly. And,
I agree.
But it's clearly because they put zero effort into it whatsoever. Yep. Or you had really talented people who were driven down by the marketing people who said,
possibly,
they have to tick all of these boxes.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, then we're going to end up with a big flop. So I don't know whether it was a flop at the cinema. I don't recall it ever being at the cinema. And when it was if it was at the cinema, I guarantee it would have had pretty shithouse reviews. So, did you get a cinema release?
It did get a cinema release, yeah. Like it got a box office release. Like it got. I'm looking at the stats here, and it said that it made 92.6 million worldwide in the box office. So it did come out. I do vaguely remember it coming out. I don't think I actually got to see it at the cinema. I think I ended up seeing it on video the first time around. I seem to remember.
Yeah, I did. I don't think.
Yeah, but it's interesting, isn't it? Like, because it was so underwhelming. I don't know if I'd be like you though. I don't think I would put it underneath A New Beginning. I think because at least this has Jason in it. So I think.
Yeah, true.
I think. On that merit alone, it goes above A New Beginning. I mean, there's been some turkeys, let's admit, along the way, but they were always, I think like I said, they were always fun. Like even Jason X, like Send Him in Space. Yeah. Crazy and woefully bad, and some, the script wasn't great, but there were some fun elements in it. And so, and it did try and push Jason in a new territory and look at another avenue for him. So I kind of applaud it a little bit for that. So, yeah. And it's nowhere near one of my favourites, don't get me wrong, but I'm just, Although, Jason Takes Manhattan was pretty shit. That one was a bit woeful. But I think, it's contentious, but I think I would put that one above this one.
Yeah.
So that basically quite low down. Yeah, that's pretty bad, isn't it? That's our opinion. Like other people may have a different opinion, but as we come to the end of our franchise discussions on Friday the 13th,
and if you do have a different opinion, you're wrong.
Yes, no judgments, but you're wrong. No
judgments, you're just wrong.
We're the surgeons, and we rule, and what we say goes. No, everyone's welcome to their own opinion, just not that one. So so interesting we bow out on that note, but I do look forward to inviting you back down the track, mate, to look at Freddy versus Jason when we get there.
I'm looking forward to that one. I really enjoyed that one, so that's a cracker.
Yeah, we will do that. We will get there, but until then we should probably bow out. We've probably said all we want to say about this particular moment. Until then, do stick around for our future podcast. Sorry, I'm going to say that again, hiccups. Do stick around for our future podcast down the track as we churn through the rest of season 6 and our dedicated look at Wes Craven's films along the way, which we call in the Nightmare years, and along with that, obviously, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise films too. Until then, I'm your host, Saul Muerte, and I was joined on this podcast episode by Miles Davies. Thank you, Miles.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Bye.
You're listening to the Surgeons of Horror podcast. Music supplied by Peter Nezik. For more discussions or podcasts, head over to surgeonsofhorror.com or head over to our Facebook and Twitter sites for the latest news and updates.